My name is Harold Thompson. The courtroom smelled of old wood polish, stale coffee left too long in the pot, and the faint metallic tang of fierce sweat that no amount of air conditioning could scrub away. The benches creaked under the weight of spectators, and the fluorescent lights buzzed overhead like angry hornets. Laura sat at the defense table in her cream silk blouse and those damn pearls, the exact strand she'd worn at Michael's funeral, twisting them between manicured fingers like they could somehow rewind time. Her lawyer's voice slid smooth as oil. A terrified wife, trapped, driven to desperation by years of control and abuse. I sat in the back row, fists balled so tight my calloused palms stung, every word landing like a dull hammer on thin sheet metal, denting deeper into the grief that never quite healed. Michael, my only son, was the healthiest man I'd ever known. He ran 5 miles before dawn every single day, rain or snow or blistering heat, his sneakers pounding the pavement in a rhythm that echoed his determination. He blended kale, spinach, ginger, and lemon into those thick green smoothies that looked and tasted like lawn clippings. He'd grin and force me to try one, laughing when I gagged and told him it tasted like punishment. He lectured me about my cholesterol, refused red meat more than once a month, and wouldn't swallow even a single aspirin when a headache split his skull open after a 12-hour shift. Pills are shortcuts, Dad, he'd say, that easy, crooked grin flashing. Bodies know how to heal if you give them time and the right fuel. And she crushed oxycodone, street-level poison, into the one weekly indulgence he allowed himself. A single glass of good scotch after Ethan was asleep, the amber liquid he sipped slowly while reviewing blueprints on the couch, unwinding the way he'd always done since college. She turned the discipline he was proudest of into the weapon that killed him. That wasn't just murder. It was violation, desecration of everything he stood for. But Laura didn't stop at poison. She didn't just want Michael dead. She wanted his memory tarnished, wanted me broken so I'd never look too close. At the wake, while I sat hollowed out in the front pew staring at his closed casket, the room heavy with lilies and hushed condolences, she leaned over, her perfume sharp and cloying like overripe flowers, and whispered in my ear. He told me he couldn't live up to your expectations, Harold. He said your love felt like a cage. That's why he was so depressed, why he started drinking more, why he needed the pills. She planted that seed of guilt right there in the funeral home, watching my face crumple, knowing it would keep me doubting myself long enough for her to collect the checks. Psychological torture layered on top of murder. Pure, distilled evil. When the projector clicked on, the first email filled the screen like a confession carved in cold light. He's asking too many questions about the accounts. If he keeps digging, we're done. Speed it up. Sent from her personal account to Derek's burner 3 weeks before they found my boy slumped on that couch, eyes open, staring at nothing. I could still see the last family dinner, Michael hoisting Ethan onto his shoulders so the boy could help hang Christmas lights, both of them laughing so hard the ladder wobbled. Dad, life's good, he told me, clapping my shoulder with that strong, steady hand I taught him to use on wrenches. We got it figured out. I can still feel the warmth of that clap on my shoulder some nights when the house is too quiet. Lies. All of it. Because she was already counting the $2 million insurance payout and the $500,000 in business shares. The jury stirred. Whispers spread like rust across bare metal. Laura's face drained under the foundation. Her perfect mask splintered. Bank records followed. $147,000 moved in careful, greedy drips to an offshore account she thought was invisible. Then the photo. A marble mortar and pestle on her kitchen island. White powder heaped beside it. Michael's scotch bottle open, next to the mess. Lid off. Condensation still beating on the glass like tears that never fell. I could smell the faint cedar and leather ghost of his cologne clinging to the couch cushions they never replaced. My throat closed. I had to look away for a second, blinking hard against the burn. Maria took the stand, clutching a frayed manila folder like a shield. She'd hidden it under her mattress for months, terrified Laura would find it and make her disappear the way she'd made Michael disappear. When the prosecutor asked why she finally came forward, Maria looked straight across the room at Laura and spoke quietly, voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. I cleaned the house every day for 3 years. I raised that baby boy while she was out running errands. I found a receipt jammed in the vacuum filter, oxycodone bought under Elena Vasquez, her old alias from before the marriage. Same address on the receipt as the apartment she claimed she could barely afford in college. And this USB drive, tucked behind those pearls in her jewelry box, the one she wore to Senor Michael's funeral. The defense attorney sneered, called her a resentful former employee, a meddlesome immigrant looking for a payday. Maria didn't blink. I loved Michael like my own son, she said. He brought me chicken soup when I had the flu so bad I couldn't stand. Called me Tia Maria to Ethan so the boy would feel safe saying it. He never raised his voice. Never once. She argued with him that last night. I heard her through the bedroom door. You'll regret questioning me. I heard the glass hit the wall after, shattering like her promises. Tears slipped down my face then. No hiding them anymore. Maria had rocked Ethan to sleep when he cried for his daddy in the middle of the night. She'd sat with me on the porch the week after the funeral, silent company while I stared at the stars and tried to remember how to breathe. Loyal when Laura was venom. Then the tattoo. The forensics expert zoomed in on the pharmacy, CCTV still, grainy black and white, timestamp burned into the corner like evidence branded on skin. She pushed up her sleeve just enough as she slid cash across the counter. There it was, the small infinity symbol on the inside of her right wrist, catching the fluorescent light like a signature on a death warrant. The courtroom went so quiet I could hear the wall clock ticking behind the judge, slow, deliberate, counting the seconds she had left of freedom. She'd shown that tattoo off at a 4th of July barbecue 2 years earlier, arm raised high for the camera, smiling wide. Forever. Like us, she'd said, leaning into Michael's side. He'd kissed her temple and laughed that deep, easy laugh. Forever. Her lie. Endless escape. Endless money. Endless life, without the husband she'd poisoned drop by drop. The irony hit like a dropped socket wrench. Sharp, metallic, final. That mark she inked for freedom became the chain that bound her for life. Derek testified in orange, shoulders hunched, voice mechanical. He laid out every step. How she'd approached him at a networking mixer 6 months earlier. How they'd planned the siphoning. How she insisted on buying the pills herself because she didn't trust anyone else to get it right. How she texted him the morning after Michael died. It's done. He went quietly. Call when the check clears. The jury's faces hardened. Disgust plain, anger simmering. An older man in the front row wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. A woman beside him shook her head slowly. The DA closed quietly, no theatrics needed. She didn't kill in passion or fear. She calculated. She erased a father, a son, a good man who trusted her with his life. For a wire transfer and a clean slate. The defense begged for manslaughter, for sympathy, for mitigating circumstances. The words fell flat as bad welds. 3 hours and 17 minutes of deliberation. The foreman stood. Guilty. The word hit the floor like a heavy wrench dropped on concrete. The machine of her lies finally seized up, gears grinding to a permanent, irreversible stop. Laura made a raw, broken sound, half sob, half animal scream, and folded forward onto the table. Bailiffs hauled her upright. She twisted toward the gallery, eyes frantic, locking on mine. Harold, please. I stared back. No words. Just the cold, hollow relief of justice for my boy. Nothing more. Nothing less. If you think she got exactly what she deserved for trying to gaslight a grieving father, drop the word vendetta in the comments. Subscribe to see the moment the feds showed her the trap I set. I want to see how many of you would have gone as far as I did. She thought I was a broken old man. She was wrong. I'm a mechanic. I know how to bleed a brake line until there's nothing left but air. I didn't just want her arrested. I wanted to seize the engine of her life until the pistons shattered through the hood. The day Maria showed me the USB and the receipt, I didn't call the police right away. No, I waited. I played the part of the doting, confused grandfather who'd lost his way in grief. I went to her house for dinners, helped her sort through Michael's papers, even suggested ways to consolidate his accounts so she could move forward. I told her about a high-yield offshore holding a friend in the business had mentioned. Safe, discreet, perfect for widows starting over. What she didn't know was that I'd already talked to Detective Ramirez. He'd flagged the account through his contacts. It was monitored by federal agents watching for wire fraud patterns. Every transfer she made after that, every greedy click, lit up the trail red hot, undeniable, interstate, pulling in the FBI. I watched her smile at me over dinner, thinking she played me, while I timed the arrival of her handcuffs. She moved the money. She took the bait. And when the feds finally knocked, plain clothes at her favorite coffee shop, cuffs clicking as her latte spilled across the table. The paper trail was ironclad. Her IP, her fingerprints on the keyboard, her arrogance in thinking an old mechanic wouldn't know how to turn her own greed against her. The drive home after the verdict was the longest 5 miles of my life. I pulled into the driveway and saw Michael's old mountain bike still leaning against the garage wall. Tires flat, chain rusted solid, the red frame faded from too many Michigan winters. It looked like a ghost waiting for him to come home, hop on, and ride off the way he used to with Ethan strapped in the child seat on the back, both of them whooping as they coasted down the hill. Inside, the house smelled like Maria's cooking, garlic sizzling in hot oil, onions softening, warm corn tortillas puffing on the comal. Comforting, heavy with everything we couldn't say out loud yet. Ethan ran to the door the second I stepped inside. 5 years old now. Michael's hazel eyes staring up at me. Bright, searching, the same look that used to ask from the garage floor, "What's next, Dad?" He grabbed my hand. His fingers were sticky with grape juice from the snack Maria had given him. "Grandpa, did you find him? Is Daddy coming home from his work trip today?" My heart didn't break. It shattered into dust, so fine I could feel it blowing away inside my chest. I knelt so our eyes were level. His face was so open, so trusting, cheeks still round with baby fat. I couldn't tell him his mother was a monster. I couldn't tell him she'd traded his father's heartbeat for numbers in a bank account. So I pulled him in, arms tied around his small frame, his heartbeat fast and perfect against my chest. He smelled like crayons, sunshine, strawberry shampoo, and the faint sweetness of grape juice. I buried my face in his soft hair and whispered, "Daddy's not coming home, buddy, but he's always with us. Right here." I pressed my palm over his heart. He nodded against my shoulder, little arms squeezing my neck as hard as he could. "Okay, Grandpa, this part is hard to tell. If you've ever had to protect a child from a painful truth, subscribe and drop a comment. I'm reading every single one tonight. Tell me where you're watching from. I need to know Michael's story reached someone who needed to hear it." Maria and I split the days now. She runs the kitchen with the same quiet efficiency she always had, humming old Guatemalan folk songs while she chops vegetables or kneads dough. I keep the garage, tools lined up like soldiers, the air thick with the scent of motor oil and metal shavings. Ethan helps on weekends. I bought him a kid-sized set of plastic wrenches, bright red and blue, so he can fix the Mustang beside me. When he crawls under the chassis and pops back out with a smudge of grease across his forehead, for a split second I see Michael. Same crooked grin, same spark in his eyes when something finally clicked into place. The Mustang's deep V8 rumble fills the garage when I fire it up. Ethan claps his hands over his ears and laughs, so hard he hiccups. That sound, pure, unfiltered joy, is the closest thing I have to peace these days. Last Sunday, I lifted him into the driver's seat. He gripped the wheel with both hands, small fingers barely spanning the sides. "I'm driving to see Daddy," he whispered, serious as anything, eyes fixed on the windshield like he could will the road to take him there. I had to step outside the garage, turn my back to him, and let the tears come hot and silent so he wouldn't see me break. We don't speak her name. Laura is a forbidden word here. Letters arrive from prison every few weeks, scrawled handwriting on thin paper. Pleas for forgiveness, claims she was framed, promises to make it right for Ethan. I don't open them. I carry them straight to the wood stove in the garage, feed them to the flames one by one, watch the paper curl black and turn to ash. The same way she tried to burn our lives down. Every night, I tuck Ethan in. He reaches for the framed photo on the nightstand. Michael cradling newborn Ethan in the hospital. Both of them smiling sleepy. Perfect smiles. I kiss his forehead, smooth back his curls that are starting to look just like his dad's, and whisper the same thing every time. You are loved. You are safe. And the truth is finally bolted down tight. Thank you for listening to my journey. It hasn't been easy, but your support means the world to Michael's memory. Before you go, make sure to subscribe for more stories like this. Drop a comment below with your city or country. I'm reading every single one tonight. Stay safe out there.